Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside in Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Kristina Shrader is an empowerment coach focused on mindset, fitness, and well-being in order to help her clients in their transformation as they realigned mind, body, and spirit. Welcome, Kristina. I'm so excited you're here.
Me too. Thank you. So excited.
So, folks, when I first officially met Kristina back last year in Florida, I found out later that you signed up to become a flight attendant. And you're now officially a flight. Like what? What induced you to do that out of your already really busy life? Talk about leveling up your life.
Yeah, exactly. Like multiple chapters. That's kind of where it comes in, is that I'm now in a season where I'm an empty nest. I know some people don't like that, but I actually like that term because I feel like a mama bird and I'm really happy that they've all flown the nest. That's what they're supposed to do. So I'm not sad. Everyone kept asking, are you going to be sad? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm not. I'm just filling up the time. That's for sure. So it's exciting for me. It's like a whole new chapter and I can like decide what I want to do. And as a child, I definitely thought, oh, I want to fly and I want to be a flight attendant. It looked very glamorous and all to me. And then I saw a friend was doing it also in this chapter of her life. She's like, they've all flown the coop. They all live in different states. We have travel benefits. My husband's going to retire. This sounds like a great win-win. And I started thinking about it. I said, I have two kids in different states. I love to travel. What could be better? And they've said, some people have multiple careers with it as well. They're like, they do it part-time or they do it as much or as little as they want to. So I thought, I'm going to throw my name in the hat. I'm going to just try it. And my kids are pretty much used to me saying that, like, hey, mom, what are you doing now? Like, she's throwing her name in the hat. And I hope they'll lead by example, right? That they should not be afraid to try something, see what happens. And same thing, they wrote back to me and they said, hey, you're going through the first step of this process. And I said, okay, let's see what happens. So not being like overly attached to the outcome. And now here I am, like 3 interview sessions later, and they called me yesterday and they said, we want to offer you this like gig. And I'm like, okay, let's go. So
I love this. And here's the thing, right? So let's remind everybody, you and I, we've already gone along this journey, folks. I present as a very extroverted, confident. My kids are now also about to end their college career. And yet I still am mindful. Her website is MindFit Pro, folks. So I am mindful that sometimes people look at us and go, well, I can never be like that, right? Yeah. So let's take it back a couple of years or more, because I'm 55 now. So I'd have to go back like 20 years to remind people of kind of where I started in my journey before I became a mom. Because for me, that was the pivotal part of me getting very protective of my self-care to be a better mom for my kids. Yes. When was that shift for you, Kristina?
Yeah, yes, I love this part. Same thing, I got married. I had my first child, and they're all 3 years apart. And I had that time. I was a school teacher at the time, so that was my first gig out of college. I went and I tried corporate America, went and got my master's degree, got married, had my first son, or I was pregnant, and I'm cutting out things I'm got all the stuff all over the floor, and their dad's like, what are you doing? I'm making bulletin boards, right? And he's like, do you want to do this or do you want to stay home? And he gave me the opportunity, and I said, I'm going to stay home. And so I did 17 years at home with the kids. And toward the end of that, I started getting the itch, or I started also going through this discovery. It was Oprah. Okay, let's just be honest. Okay?
I know, Oprah. I love Oprah. Oprah, we love you.
So absolutely, because the kids are taking a nap and I'm like, okay, here's my moment. I'm going to lay down and I'm going to listen. And it was Marianne Williamson. It was, Eckhart Tolle. It was all of these people, Brendan Burchard, a multitude of people and books and thought processes that came into my life that cracked me open and made me realize, oh, there's a whole lot more going on in here. And I want more. There's more for me. There's more for my children. And I know the more that I do, I'm leveling up for my kids. Whatever I can heal in myself, I'm healing my parents behind me and I'm healing the generations in front of me. So I felt compelled, called, and then I just started doing more personal work and growth from there and challenging myself. I like to do that apparently. And that's where it all started, and then I got into fitness because health was primary, huge value, like top priority value for me is my health. I sadly had to go through watching both of my parents pass away from metastatic cancer. They both had bladder cancer, very rare cancer. How did both my parents get that? Right? I just kept thinking, doctors were saying, oh, it's because they smoked. And I go, they both stopped smoking before I was like 9. That doesn't make any sense. And my mom cleaned up the diet like completely, all of those things. Right. So I'm like, I think environment. I grew up in California. That's where I am, in the orchards and the fields. They spraying malathion. We had the fruit flies in the 70s, all these things. So it became really important to me to be healthy. And I didn't want to, be sick for my children. I wanted to be well and healthy and full and vibrant, and then also lead by example. So that took me on the wellness part, the health and wellness, well-being. And I noticed for myself that the more I was fortified in my physical body, then I started looking at more of the spiritual, mental, and emotional pieces, right? And all of those bodies go together. Then you throw in some NLP. NLP came across from a friend of mine, and she's like, you got to take this training. And so I did the Empowerment Inc. I went to their trainings, and then I did Master Practitioner, and I did their integrated coaching program. So I've got certified with that. And that's kind of how things evolved into where we go now. And that it's been a blend of the fitness, wellness piece, and then with the NLP and then coaching and raising children, young adults.
Folks, I'm so ecstatic Christina's here, because part of my healing has been to veer as far away from the scarcity mentality as possible. Here's the thing. I'm ecstatic when I meet people like Kristina, thank you so much for coming, because you're doing exactly what I did from another direction. Mm-hmm. Movement and fitness. I was actually at my healthiest, Kristina, before I got breast cancer. There's no history of it, and we couldn't figure out what caused it. Because people were like, well, it's a genetic. I got breast cancer before my mother did.
Wow.
All right. And when I finally discovered NLP through Avalon Empowerment, that's oriented in Toronto during the Great Panini, they went online. Thank goodness.
Right.
That's how I found them, through their ads. And they were that missing piece, because I wasn't even realizing some of my unresolved stress. I can absolutely, with complete belief, say it was caused by my unresolved trauma. I was so stressed out by my life. You would never know it. Everyone saw me dancing during my cancer treatment, during my recovery, seeing me lose weight as I went completely vegan, and I was getting up at 5 o'clock and working out and getting really close to my, actually I was at my pre-twins weight. And I was about to launch my career as a belly dancer internationally. And I found that lump. And it's like, what in the world? What do you mean? So it's been crazy. I love the introduction of the German new medicine theory through Avalon Empowerment, where they just talk about how when you have unresolved trauma, it lights up two parts, right? Your brain and another part of your body.
Yep.
That brain portion, that 90% of us that we don't know very much about, but yet is there controlling and keeping us safe. Folks, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. The more people doing this means we can do more healing.
Yes.
For the world.
Yes.
I'm giving myself chills right now when you said yes.
100%. You're speaking it, because the same thing is true. As I was, I was looking at even so my father got sick first, and I just kept looking and looking. I'm like, what is going on? And I found things, the Gerson method, the coffee enemas, things that have been
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
hidden in the background of how to heal yourself and heal the body. And then really starting to learn about these, wait a second, there's some underlying trauma. There is some, we call it emotional baggage, right? It's like
Mhm.
trapped energy. And then, like you said, it's going to ping pong around and find a way to express itself in the
Yes.
physical body.
Yes.
And, that's a same thing. I've trained people and, we remove, it's interesting. You take away sugar, you take away simple flour, simple carbs, things like that. And then all of a sudden something different starts happening to the body, starts starving some cancer cells or things like that. They
Yep.
get really angry when they don't get what they want. And then all of a sudden, boom, they express that they have cancer. And they're like, where did this come from? Well, we cleaned up your diet, right? We took away the thing that was hiding it. And now it's coming out. This is a blessing. Now you can do something about it, right? Sometimes it's hard, right? As our human brain wants to say, like, why is this happening to me? Oh my goodness, the stress of it, but really trying to change the mindset, like you said, the powerful organ of our brain to say, what am I meant to learn from this? Why, this is happening to me for a reason. It's here. Okay. So let's deal with it. Let's head it. I pretty much face things head on
Yeah.
all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
so then what am I meant to learn from it?
Mhm.
And then how can I then teach or give that forward
Mhm.
is the same issue. Yeah. I
I
love
love
that.
that.
It all goes together. I tell people this too in the gym, right? I
Yeah.
used to teach Orange Theory, taught like over 2,000 classes. That's thousands and thousands of people, several studios. And you have them captive audience. It's so great. It's just like having them in a trance, right? So they're in kinesthetic motion, right? They're an open vessel. The unconscious mind's paying attention, So I'm sitting there and I said, well, you sitting there thinking, you're doing this. Oops, you're not, you are um your brain is the thing that's really working, right? I'm like, so if we don't give up on that contraction, that weight is still going to get there. It's just a matter of time.
Mhm.
So how are we going to address the whole thing? How are we going to get there and have the win? But it's the power of the mind. Yeah. That's the biggest muscle.
Yeah, it really is. And I love that you worked in the whole physicality realm first. I danced all the time. And it was the marrying. For me, it's always this outside in approach because dancers, we know how to move. We know how to be in our bodies. And we also know how to disassociate while we're moving in our bodies, right? So some of our audience members, you haven't really moved because you're at the computer or on your phone or your life dictates you stay sedentary. And so we're advising you move. And some
Yes.
of us, right, I've had people who were runners and it's become a way for them to tune out of their
Yeah,
bodies,
exactly.
right? So what we are advocating for you is wherever you are on that range, the missing link is being aware of the fact that there is 90% of you that's unconsciously controlling you no matter what you want to do. So once you bring that unconscious forward and on board, that's when you're going to see real change in your life.
Exactly. Exactly. And leaning into that. I fully agree. Same thing. Dancer, same thing. And I went to the Omega Institute in upstate New York. And I went for a training with Pema Chodron. She's the only female monk, Buddhist monk, and
Yes.
she teaches Tonglen. She was teaching Tonglen, this particular one, and long sitting, long. We had 6 or 8 hours of straight on Buddhist meditation. Which, if you've never done, like your monkey mind is going nuts. You're just yeah. There was no right. There's no mantra going. You are just there with it, and beautiful practice. Absolutely love it. And I found that in exercise, like you said, dance, I've been dancing since I was 3. Getting up to speak, a little different. Moving your body on a stage, presentation, don't have to talk, just move the body, totally different. And I would say that's my meditation. And it can also be my escape. Right.
Yes. I bought her CDs and downloaded it into those
Oh
tiny
yeah.
little Apple things before they discontinued it. And then I noticed I can't sit still. It would actually arouse my trauma response to force myself to meditate.
Yep.
So for our people who are just listening and you can't see me doing the quotation marks, I'm like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I had to marry her tuning into the five senses with walking and breath work. And that was the
Yep.
only way I could do that. And I realized, wow, wait a minute. What if I marry that to my dance?
Hmm.
And that's how the Dance to Heal was born for me, right? Right.
Yeah.
And then still, folks, that's not enough. You still have to do that NLP work that Christina and I do.
Yeah.
You got to do it. You don't have to do it with us. I recommend you do it with us. Find someone who will help you through that. Let's talk about your gift, Christina.
Yeah. I love that. I love the NLP. I had to be my own first, right? I'm my own first client. And I use the analogy of I have fallen down, I have skinned my knees on just about everything. And where was I? Oh, it was at Build Your Brand Live. And they were talking about rock bottom has a basement. I'm like, oh, I've visited. I have visited.
Yeah, yeah. Mine has sub levels, y'all. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
never talk about that, but that's real talk. Go ahead.
But it's true. And it's true. And I have had people, like you said earlier, you're like, no one would have known the pain that you were going through. No one would have known the recovery that you were doing because I don't know. It's just, that isn't how I present. However, definitely going through it. But coming to NLP brought this layer, like you were talking about, like removing scarcity, right? That was an underlying piece for me. I had a scarcity mindset from my childhood, right? We had my mother was a child of the Depression.
Yes.
My father grew up picking in the fields in Texas,
Mhm.
and all the way across here. So it was a different mindset at home that then definitely left its mark on me. And I can remember my father saying to me, "What are you going to do if you ended up homeless?" And I'm like, "What? I'm 10 years old. Why am I thinking about that? Aren't I safe? Am I not safe here? Do we not have a home?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And we
But
internalize that stuff and we don't even realize it.
right. And I became hyper vigilant about that. And that took up a lot of brain power and a lot of space to be worried about it all the time. So to learn about NLP and go, wow, wait, what is going on with my brain? And how can I make it work for me, right? We talk about the conscious brain and the unconscious brain, right? The conscious brain we call the goal getter. It's the captain of the ship, right? Where it's the one that's talking all the time in our head. We need to do this, we need to do that. And then that unconscious is, I call them the people in the boat, right? They're the rowers underneath. I've got Jean Valjean in my head, right? They're
I know, I love that. Oh, now you got the whole soundtrack. We play that. We saw it live so
Oh,
many
did you?
times in New York City, and so we have the soundtrack. Go ahead. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, no,
I'm now
but
playing the
that's
soundtrack
it.
in the back of my head. Oh, ADHD
Right?
moment. Go ahead, focus, Jen.
Exactly. But when you're the captain's going, well, we're gonna go, I don't know, we're just gonna use, we're gonna go lose weight. We're gonna go change our life by, we're gonna lose weight, we're gonna get cleaned up, we're gonna go to the gym 7 days a week, we're gonna eat clean and all of that. And the rowing people are going, are we? Because we've never done that before.
That's
And
new.
you've told us by other examples, we're not gonna do that. Or we might do it for a couple of days and then we're not gonna get there. So again, it's like when the alignment isn't there between the conscious and the unconscious brain, we never get anywhere. We row in a circle. And so that's what happens a lot of times, right? I talk about values a lot, values alignment, right? Making sure at our core, this is something that I value. And then, okay, then the rowers can go, okay, yeah, no, she's talked about that. Eating well is important to us. And now she's showing us some baby steps to that. Okay, so we'll row, we'll get there, we'll start to go that direction. So I love that NLP taught me that, right? That I have to gain alignment between the conscious and the unconscious mind. I have to talk about what my values really are. I have to understand how I'm presenting to the world building rapport, love that one. Huge piece in NLP work that, you're learning and matching and mirroring. How do I show up? How do I communicate with you? What are you really receiving from me? There's how many millions of bits of information coming at us. We can only process like 126 million bits at a
Yeah.
time. And there's so much that's getting filtered and distorted based on my experience, right? Based on maybe my childhood scarcity or limiting belief that, oh, the world might fall apart any moment.
Yeah.
How am I going to prepare to be on the street? Because my dad told me that one time.
And
So,
and yes, and what I love about this, folks, we're going to acknowledge at this very moment, right? Everyone's really unique in how we react to stressful things. One thing for one person, might be will most likely be reacted to a different way by person B. So we're talking about those moments when you personally, whether or not you remember it, took that situation as a stressful event and internalized it and figured out a loophole that actually is limiting you now. Okay?
mhm.
If you go to Christina's website, mindfitpro.biz, you can get her gift, which is the Level Up Your Life kit, which she goes into all these values. And then if you really need the help, she's there for you. You book a call with her to understand how to implement. Does that make
Yeah.
sense, folks? And here's the thing. Sometimes though, right, your mind goes, I want to do that. And yet you find some excuses not to do it. Go to danceandheal.com. Dance a little bit with me. Don't worry, it's not a public class. I've got cues on the screen for you. Do some myofascial release work because the body holds memories and it keeps score.
Yep.
Then go and look up Christina and mindfitpro.biz and check out that value system. Either way, the fact that you're even willing to do either one is signaling to your subconscious, oh, I want to shift. I want to shift. Because like what Christina was saying, you can be like, wow, I want to do this. And then because it's so brand new to your subconscious, which has kept you safe up until this moment, it will still keep you uncomfortable because that's where it knows safety for you. Because of those few moments way in the past that we don't remember anymore, where we didn't feel safe and we felt disempowered.
Right. So true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the unconscious Brian, its prime directive is to keep you safe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it's designed to do. So it's not going to let you go too far outside of your normal footprint unless you can gain alignment, right? And you feel that, right? When we do the body check, do a body check, do you have tightness in the throat, tightness in the chest, tightness in the gut, right? Talking about that alignment, either whether chakras are your thing, meridians, all of it's true. However you get to it, like you just said, however you get to this, it's all still the truth of how things are working, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
Let us be your wake-up call. If you're listening to this interview, you are meant to start doing this work, folks. Like no holds barred, right, Christina? We all are survivals of the panini. That
Yeah.
means you are meant for bigger things. It's time for your shift.
Mhm.
Like join us on the other side, folks. It's so much nicer over there. Because what Christina like now dancing? Because Christina came from a poverty mindset. I also came from generational poverty back in Taiwan, where we were the poor people. Like, what my husband and I joked when we moved to Long Island, we were in Great Neck, surrounded by mansions and huge properties, and we were in the blue collar area with the littler houses with the actual sidewalks, that kind of a
Yeah.
thing, right? And even then, it felt to me like we didn't belong there
Right.
because of my poverty mentality that I had inherited from my parents. And
Right.
it's taken me quite a lot of this work with this unconscious to let go of that.
Yeah.
And there's also layers of entwinement, folks. So just be aware. Christina and I only spoke of one thing. We all had layers we worked through.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
also certified in the neurolinguistic programming, which is what the NLP is. And I'm also a master practitioner like Christina. So we can speak very freely on this because we've done the work.
Mhm.
What I love about this particular thing is, okay, so like we love Zumba and other type of certifications. And real talk, I've certified in Zumba. And I just certified in this amazing thing called Pound Fit, which is dancing fitness with little stick, like drumsticks, where you're pounding and smacking them. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And at the same time, these wonderful certifications. I paid one fee and now I'm a teacher. Our forms of becoming neurolinguistic programming people, master practitioners, we had to work on ourselves first. Oh, yeah. I've just, when this episode comes out, I will have been doing this training for over 2 years now. That's a lot of deep work. We want you to come with us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to add another layer. Another layer is, my teacher is Dr. Matt James. So he teaches mental emotional release. So that's the other part, really, really moving that stuck energy, whatever, the limiting belief, all of those types of, or anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, hurt, all of those. We can remove those. And then the edges just aren't as sharp anymore. The reaction isn't the same. I've had so many people say to me, like a big thing might be, I had recently some girlfriends that had a spat, and it got heated in front of one another, and one's in tears and one's, cursing and leaving the room. And I'm sitting there, and my friend says, after it's all done, she goes, "How did you just sit there?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not reactive like that anymore." And there's too many other people reacting. I'm like, somebody's got to hold ground over here.
Well, I do PQ reps, and a lot of that talks about, if someone's in this judge part of them versus their sage part, right? If you can stay in sage, no one can move you out of there.
Right.
It's this mental fitness strength that we have to have. And I think the acknowledgement of that's really I used to take on everyone's monkeys, y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm monkey free. I'm the year of the monkey. I can take care of my own monkey, and everybody else take care of your monkey, because that's really the bottom line, right, Kristina? We can only change ourselves, which in turn changes everything around us.
Yes. I just said that to someone else. I'm like, when you do your work, you're affecting other people. They have to respond. They're going to respond to you differently because you're going to be showing up different.
Yes.
So good for you. Go, keep doing it.
Yes, we all get, and we want you to do that too. So don't forget, come back to this episode. I think Kristina's just gonna have to come back because I have so many other things to talk about. We could talk about being like parents, and I want to know what all these places that she's traveled to has a flight attendant, and I'm gonna see her again soon. So folks, you be well. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit outsideinrecovery.com. Are you ready to move?